Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today I'm going over the questions that you guys submitted for the 6k subscriber thank you. This was done about 10 days ago, so I feel like leaving it, 10 days. Everyone who wanted to could have posted their question. Now, if there are questions that I missed since they're not visible on the video, I apologize for that. There's not really a lot I can do about that. I have talked about this in the past where certain comments just seem to disappear from YouTube. So just understand what I'm going to go through today is all of the comments that I actually see and are actually there. On top of this, if you didn't get a chance to ask a question or, you have something you'd like to ask but you didn't think of it at the time, please post it in the comments for this video and I will respond to it in text form instead of, in the voice form. But I'll still answer it for you. So the first question is from Lachlan Rule, or Lachlan Rule. Hello from France. The Superfort 657, I'm guessing that's his in-game name. Are you going to always play War Thunder and never give up on it? Congrats on 6k. I have talked about in the past, there are a few things that if War Thunder decided to go down that design decision way, I wouldn't want to play the game anymore, such as stuff like premium ammunition. As a guy who played World of Tanks back in the day, and I understand it's not an issue now, but it was definitely an issue back then, was the idea of premium ammunition, or gold ammunition, and I really didn't like that. Now if War Thunder decided that that was a way they wanted to go, I wouldn't play the game. I got sick of it back then, I'll get sick of it right now, even if I can afford it in the game. There are a few other things, like if the game becomes a bit too ridiculous with paper vehicles, such as, the B&V stuff that I will, fully go through one day. But if it just becomes insanity on the part of what's flying around and what's tanking, there are some things that does get my issues up. I will try and find the vehicle. Now, it's not the Object 203 or the 7701. The 701 is actually the IS-4 prototype, I suppose would be the best way to put it. But basically, here, I'll show you it in a video. If we start getting just vehicles which beg a belief, then yes, I will be out of the game as quick as possible. I talked about this on the stream today, actually. Let's just see if I can find it. Here we go, Object 257. So the Object 257 may seem like a normal vehicle. You may think it is just a normal thing. And you'd be like, well, there's nothing weird about it or anything like that. Let's just see if I can find the link that I looked at the other day. I have no idea where it is, so I might be just staring into nothing. They only have the 279, that's interesting. Yeah, that's the 279, but if we have a look at the Object 257, if I can find it, this is one of the pictures. Is this linked to the site? Yeah, it is, right. So, this is the Object 257, linked as the first IS-7. It is based off the IS-6, which we already have in game, but what is interesting about this beast is this picture right here. So, do you see how the hull is? The hull is angled in a diamond shape. This armor in the blueprint is incredibly thick and incredibly angled. And so is this. If you shoot it straight on, you have to go through two sets of armor. If you shoot it in the front, it's pretty much an IS-6. If you shoot it in the side, you are going to ricochet. Same with the turret. If we start getting stuff like this in the game, as you can see, this was the idea, then I'm just going to have to say no. I'm not in the mood for that unrealistic of a game, where we have stuff flying about which would have never properly worked in real life, would have had so many different issues just from a design point of view, which is why it wasn't made in real life, but for some reason, Gaijin put it in the game. Also, if there is a massive push for tournament vehicles, I personally don't really like that idea. Like, I understand you want to keep a few vehicles, like, precious, such as, like, the E100, but if we start getting a massive line of them, yeah, I'm not really in favor of that, because then it becomes a PvP thing, instead of more of a person versus the game thing. Now, maybe go through that in another video, but everything else, like, the signs for me are looking good. Like, when we talk about World War mode, Enduring Confrontation, the new changes, which I need to go through, which are really cool. All of these things point me towards a game which I want, personally, which is just a War Thunder operation, but on a much larger scale, as I've talked about before, kind of mixing War Thunder and Heroes and Generals, or creating something like IL-2 Battle of Stalingrad, but in a more realistic setting instead of a simulator setting. Let's move on to the next one. So we have Delaru68. Congratulations on the 6k, that's massive, thank you. One thing I've enjoyed is your talks. You've got the gift of the gab to say, with no bullshit or arrogance. It's always to the point. Cheers, mate, from Australia. Well, thank you, Delaru. One of the guys, sometimes I get noticed in War Thunder, and one of the guys was like, hey, I like your videos, but why do you sound high all the time? And I don't think I sound high, but I'm definitely a lot more relaxed when it comes to it. Now, a lot of people have said that's a bad thing. Like, I sound too monotone, I sound too boring. But for me, it's so much better to listen to someone talking like me than it is someone who's like, oh my god, look at this. Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? Oh, wow, look at over there. And, like, I have no time for that crap anymore. Like, maybe when I was younger I did, but at the age that I'm at, I've seen so much faux, pizzazz and faux surprise. It just doesn't do anything for me anymore. So for me, like, talking how I talk, I like, and that's why I do it. Ultor, a very well-deserved result. Thank you so much, TEC, or TEC, for your amazing content, vehicle map analysis, great devlog coverage, and so on. So my question, what is your actual plan for the channel? I mean, to improve it and make it even bigger. Warm regards. That's a very good question. To be quite honest with you, I have literally no idea. The channel itself has always been a hobby, and it still is a hobby. It is not something that I sit around and think, well, how can I advertise it better? Who can I talk to? Can I get certain people on the channel? Maybe I can promote it through different means. The only real promotion I do is through the Discord, which I don't promote the channel. I just talk to people, create a community. When content creators come to me, then we generally make stuff. And also War Thunder Live. So if I was actually being serious about this, I would go insane on the advertisements, try and get as many content creators, or at least contact them as possible, to try and get them on for talks, or set up some kind of podcast thing. But to be quite honest, the one thing that I've always wanted to do in War Thunder, and the space I personally think is lacking it, but then again there might not be a space for it, is some kind of podcast idea. I have always enjoyed listening to podcasts, and when I, through university, had certain jobs which, let's just say, were quite dull, especially at night, one of the things that got me through it is stuff like the Eco-Optional podcast, or the Rooster Teeth podcast, or recently The No on, The No channel, which is run by Rooster Teeth, and nowadays it's like Return of By the Numbers for me. So I've always liked podcasting content. Now, when it comes to actually producing it, I also enjoy it. I like having two or three people sat down, chatting about, certain aspects. I've done it, in the past a few times with the War Thunder Talk series, just talking to people about a key idea, letting it run for about half an hour to an hour, and I'd be fine doing something like that every week, as long as I get the right people there. So the idea would be to get two people and a guest, and then maybe me, or maybe even, two people including me, so one extra person and then a guest. The issue with this is conflicting times, making sure everything works, all of this jazz takes a hell of a lot of effort, and I have to rely on another person to do it. And generally, I don't like that. I like relying on me for my content when it comes to the channel, because then I know what I can create, I know how hard I can push myself, I don't know how hard I can push somebody else before they just want to disappear, or even if their heart's into it. I personally know that my heart is in this. But I don't know if another person, who doesn't really get anything out of it apart from a bit of exposure, would be interested. So that's why I prefer the War Thunder Talks, but would like some kind of podcast setting. Another thing is an ongoing project, which I've written the scripts for, I've written everything for, I've talked about or looked at how I want to produce it. It's called Dowding's Devils, and it basically follows 4 men who are, let's just say, they are exquisitely talented at their craft, which is flying. The issue is, they are a bit, not normal. So there's a lot of aces, especially in the RAF, which didn't follow the norm, and they were court-martialed a hell of a lot because they did things differently to everybody else. The gang of 4 men would be very much similar to this. You'd have an American, an Irishman, and 2 Britishmen, and they would form Dowding's Devils. They would do the missions which nobody else sees. So it would be a fictional story about a small squadron of men who would do the missions which were cancelled in World War II, or at least thought about doing. And there's also other things which they could be involved in, such as they would be the guys who would never see the light of day when it comes to a newspaper, or whenever it comes to an award or anything like that, but they would always be recognized for their service by the right people, if that makes sense. So I want to do that at some point. That would require me to devote a hell of a lot of time to it. I have, over the years, created the scripts, rewritten them again, so all that stuff is done from a storyboard point of view. Like, I have about 20 episodes mapped out of what I want to do, and, other people have looked at it, they said, it's okay, and they've given me some pointers. So what I would have to do is, first of all, find 4 people who would want to voice act that much, pay them, obviously, and then, on top of that, create all of the footage which will go along with this, which is no easy feat if you've ever talked to any video producer. And if they add in that feature where you can rewind replays, this would make it a hell of a lot easier. But yeah, those are the 2 main projects which aren't really around on the channel, which I'd like to add. Everything else, I kind of like how it is, so right now it's heavily focused on War Thunder, but after about a week or so, it will go back to the original content, which is, 1 Subnautica, 1 War Thunder, and 1 other video, whether it be Men of War, Company Heroes, whatever it is, and that's what I'll do. And then I'll push forward with this. I prefer doing videos on ideas and stuff like that, so I'll focus on discussions, working out, what different maps can we have, what different tanks may be available, and maybe delving more into the historical side of stuff, because that's where my expertise and interest is, compared to the other stuff, which is where other people's expertise is, which is why I have them on the channel. Vocatus, I was watching your videos daily, but forgot to subscribe. I'm so sorry. Subscribe now, though. You don't have to apologize. If you watch the videos, you watch the videos. And one of the nicest things about the videos is that now there's like kind of a small War Thunder community that hangs out all the time, and they talk between themselves, and that's what I like, to be honest. I like that a little bit. By the way, what I'm drinking it's called Peace Tea. I don't know if you can see it. It's peach flavored, and it's alright. Like, it's nothing special, it's just iced tea. No alcohol today. The YT fam, so YouTube fam probably, what convinced you to grow a beard, and what is that accent? What convinced me to grow a beard? My wife. My wife likes beards. I had, when I met her, Obviously, I didn't meet her and then marry her. But when we were dating, she was like, you know what, you need, well, I don't need a beard. But she was like, I would prefer it if you had a beard. So I grew a beard. One of the issues I have is that my mustache doesn't come through properly, because it just doesn't. My father's doesn't either. And what happens is, if you ever see a HD picture of me, which, you might do one day, this area here and this area is ginger. And then the rest of it is dark brown. So it's just weird. Like, I'm fine with the beard. I need to trim it a little bit more often. But I don't find the time to do so. And I like to get it done professionally. What is that accent? It's a screwed up accent. I'll explain it the best I can. So I may need to just do that so you can actually see it. One of the issues that I ran into when I came to Canada is the fact that nobody could understand what I was saying. And the reason for this is because of my accent. I had a strong Yorkshire accent, and a lot of people pretty much couldn't understand a word I was saying. So I'll give you a bit of taster of what I sounded like. Let's just see. Maybe this.
The lounge diner with the... I don't mind.
There we go. Alright, let's do this bit.
Of course, it's not finished yet. I've still got to... Don't stub your cigarette out there. There's going to be some very expensive carpet in there when I've been to the co-op.
This is a better one. I apologise for this.
Enthusiasm.
Oh, yes, you do.
Look.
Here we go.
Typical of women is that. They've no sense of reality. They've no sense of practicality. Look at day your Carter were born.
Saturday afternoon.
6 round at FA Cup versus Sheffield Wednesday. A 60,000 gate. Your dad and me stood on terraces. And then this voice comes over loudspeakers. Will Mr. Leslie Brandon kindly report to the city maternity home?
So you can understand how my accent is a little bit different to what it was. And the main reason for that is because people from America and Canada didn't understand a word that I was saying. And if I ever get, well, not angry, but if I get worked up, kind of like in that BV video, you hear it coming out again. And when I get hammered, it comes out big style. And one of the things with the Yorkshire or the Lancashire accent, which is what you just saw there, is you miss words. Words just don't exist. Like the word the join-in words that you may think that a lot of people use, like that and. Those words don't really exist in where I'm from. So it took me a long time to learn how to speak properly, because when I started getting into the later years of university, I decided what I wanted to do. And what I wanted to do, public speaking was going to have to be involved. So I needed to learn how to talk. And that's pretty much what I did. I looked up a bunch of elocution lesson stuff on YouTube, how to enunciate certain things in the most relaxed and poignant way that I can get across. And at the same time, I started the YouTube stuff, so I could get comfortable with just talking and talking properly. If you go back to my early videos, I do some readings and also some gameplay. You will see that my accent is different. It is massively different compared to now. And that is because this one is a manufactured one. And I have to do it. Because otherwise, people don't understand me. And, that's life. You have to be able to be understood if you want the general populace to listen to you. So that's what I did. But yeah, the beard is because of my wife. If I wasn't married to her, then I probably wouldn't have this beard. I do need to trim it though. Frank Bradley, what do you think and hope we will see in the other major patches for War Thunder this year? I think there's they already confirmed the Leopard 2 and the M1A1, so it looks like we're going to get some more modern day tanks. I personally am not somebody who's really up with that. That's why on this channel I am focusing on everything else apart from those, because it seems that everyone else is just focusing on them and nothing else, so why not focus on the rest of the stuff? And just because I'm more interested in that stuff, to be honest. I don't particularly find modern tanks that interesting apart from the Challenger, which I grew up with. I understand people really like the Abrams, but for me, World War II is where it's at. And it always will be. That is my thoughts on the matter. So, when we talk about what we're going to see in other major patches, I mean, the easy ones to go for are Rank 6 aircraft, and also World War Mode, which we know, and Naval, which is in closed beta. I'm sure that will come to open beta either sometime this year or next year. And also, as I said, more Rank 6 tanks. What I would like is some armoured cars in the game, with a different set of mechanics to make it interesting. More light vehicles, so each rank of each ground vehicle tech tree has at least one light in it, so we can have a different bit of gameplay across the ranks. The scouting stuff I think is really cool. I'd like to see that. I would like to see certain gaps in tech trees filled, so a classic example is in the British one. From the Crusader AA Mark 1 to the Falcon is 3 BR, so 4.7 to 7.7. It would be nice to see something to bridge that gap. I would like to see gaps filled before we push the tech tree on. I would also like to see a general rework of how Rank 1 Air Realistic works. I would also like to see a melding, I think is the right word to use, of Enduring Confrontation and Realistic. I think the future for Realistic is either in a World War mode setting or in Enduring Confrontation. And I would like it to be an Enduring Confrontation, so that would be nice. But I know a lot of people like the new flashy modern vehicles, so we'll probably get them. American Bias says, great job on reaching 6k, but it kinda looks like the Doki Doki Literature Club virus swarming the internet has infected you too. You can thank Dingo for that. I played through the first 20 minutes, and I have no idea how I'm going to record it, but I just know I'm going to. I'm going to go through it. I'm still working out, should I read through it, or should I just leave it on the screen for a bit and comment on what's going on? I'm still working out what's the best way to do that, but I'm definitely going to do it. And then Jengar. If you don't know who Jengar is, he also makes some really good War Thunder content. Soon we're going to be doing some kind of War Thunder talks. Whoa, that's loud. War Thunder talks on something or other, depending on what topic we decide, and also some flyouts, just so I can get some content for his channel and my channel. So yeah, definitely check him out if you don't know who he is. He is a pilot, and he covers the majority of the new planes as well, so, it's definitely worth giving him a look. When it comes to pilot skill, I'd definitely say we differ quite a lot. Jengar is a better pilot than me in an all-round sense, and therefore if you want some advice about Air Realistic, you go to Jengar or Air Arcade. But for me, you get the all-around advice when it comes to air and also ground. So yeah, that's how I see it. Well done, sir. You're working hard for it. I'm jealous about how much time you can pour into it. That's impossible with family life and work on the side. I mean, I kind of have that. I mean, I have my wife. She's very, she's very relaxed about everything. Basically, the way it works is I work during the day. I work mornings normally for my job. And then in the afternoon, I do War Thunder stuff. And then at 6 o'clock in the evening, it's her time. That's how I do it. One of the issues I do have, though, is sleep. And sleep is getting in the way of pretty much everything. And I need to find a way to not sleep. Yeah, we're working on that. Yeah. I'm not going to go into that much, but let's just say, when I was at university, when I was working really hard, one of the things I developed was sleeping every other day. So I would stay up for 36 hours, go to sleep for like 6, awake for 36 hours and so on. It wasn't healthy in the normal sense, but it never affected me. And I can still do that regularly without even really being fussed or anything like that. I can just stay up for like 2 days straight and not really feel it. So I don't know if it's because I don't know if I have a low heart rate or something like that, but, you know, maybe that's why I'm so relaxed all the time. There's just not the energy there to do anything. I'm just chugging over like an oil burner or something like that. Or a coal fire, I think might be a better analogy. This is from Daniel Ayer, or Air. Are you called Boom Tun because you're from Tyneside or something? So, if you don't know where Tyneside is, it is in the north of England, mainly talked about in the form of Newcastle, because it's Newcastle upon Tyne, but Tyneside is a different place. Boom Tun. Actually, I'll go into the rest of it. I said I support Middlesbrough, but no, good guess. I'll answer it in the video. And the reason I support Middlesbrough football, who are a calamity at the best of times, it is fun following them because they are one of these teams which is slightly between the Premiership and the Championship or the First League. I don't know if they've changed the name, but they always go up and down between them. Like, they're just not good enough to stay in the Premiership, but they're better than the Championship. So they get promoted a lot, they have really good support, and it's always been fun. And also, my dad's a Borough fan, so he used to take me to games and stuff. I'm not a smoggy. I am from south of there, but yeah, I used to enjoy going to Middlesbrough as a kid. When I went back to... my grandparents actually live in Gisborough right now, but when I went back to England a few years ago, I actually caught a game, and it was amazing to see how nothing had changed in Middlesbrough. And it would be nice if somebody pumped a bunch of money into there, because right now it just looks like it's kind of becoming desolate. But yeah, on to the actual thing. So Boom Tun, a lot of people have speculated where this name comes from, and everybody's going to be incredibly disappointed when I tell people where it's from. So there's a character in Borderlands. In the first one, he's called Brick, right? He's a big ass guy, massive muscles. His special is literally he goes around punching people in the face while having crazy health regen. He's a brawler. For some reason one day, I had no idea why, but I decided he looked like a Boom Tun. He looked like a guy who would bang bang smash with the shoulder. And that is basically what a Boom Tun is. You have you hit with the left fist, hit with the right fist, smash with the shoulder. This is what it was when I was growing up. That's what it was called. Brick looked like that. So Brick got called that. Then I realized that Boom is easier to say than TEC or European Canadian or Euro. So people started calling me Boom. Now I'm known as Boom. So if you're ever in a call with me on Discord or something like that, and you're wondering why people are saying Boom and I'm answering, that's pretty much why. It's a boring ass story, but it is definitely interesting that that I have this name, which has nothing to do with anything else. This is from APHE-chan. First of all, congrats on a 6k, thank you. Been here a long time, and I still think you're one of the most informative War Thunder YouTube channels out there. Now, my question. What is your opinion on the current state of Japanese ground forces? I myself am quite annoyed by it, since on higher BRs you only have one competitive tank, and are forced to either use way lower BR tanks as backups, or buy backups for GE. Also, do you think the Type 74 should be lowered to 8.3 like the A1A1? And what's your opinion on a copy-paste STB1 with some cosmetic changes as a rank 5 premium for Japan? It is interesting with Japan. I've always said that the issue that is going to be with Japan, and this was before they even came out, was going to be their rank 4 and they're late rank 5. Now, the rank 4 issue was solved by American tanks. The rank 5 issue hasn't been solved yet, because basically what you have is you have a prototype of the Type 74, and you have the Type 74, and then they added in the Japanese Gepard. So that solves your AA out, but it doesn't solve your supportive vehicles. It also doesn't solve your issue with aircraft, which are much worse now than or at least the ground attackers, are much worse now than pretty much everybody else's counterparts, even if you look at the AD4. The R2Y2 is a wonderful plane and aerialistic, because of the spawn it gets, because of the guns on it, and because before you go and you get into the dogfights, you're able to hit something with an 800. It's really good as an all-round aircraft, but in the ground forces, it is overshadowed by a lot of machines. So, dropping the Type 74 to 8.3 I don't think is required, because, to be honest, the Type 74 is better than the A1A1 in my opinion. It has a lot of features which are better than it. Actually now that the A1A1 has APF SDS, I think it's actually a tough call. But the time that you lower the Type 74 is when you add in a new top tier Japanese vehicle, and this is something to look forward to. So we know that there's a machine called the STC-1. Now let's just see if I can bring it up for you. There we go. We should probably type in tank. And we know that the M1A1, yeah, there it is. We know that the M1A1, this is the Type 90. Basically, the STC-1 is the prototype of the Type 90, which is one of the later Japanese battle tanks, like the main battle tanks. This was entered service in 1990, as you can see. So now with the M1A1 confirmed, one of the versions of the Leopard 2 confirmed, what Japan can get now is the STC-1, which is the prototype of the Type 90, and also the Type 90. And even by extension, I think it's called the Type 4 tank, right? Or something like that. I'll have a look. Let's see. Type 4. Because the thing is, that would... You know what? Let's just go and do this. Type 10, that's what I'm looking for. So the Type 10 would be something that would be equivalent to an M1A2, Challenger 2, Leopard 2 A4 or A5, this thing. But let's just talk about what is more realistic at this point compared to what we have in the game. So, if the Type 74 is dropped to 8.3, you need a 9093 tank, and this is what the Type 90 would be. The Type 90 has the Rheinmetall 120 on it, the same as the Leopard 2K, if not slightly modified. It has insane gun depression on it, and if we look at its weight and everything like that, and its speed, it is a pretty nippy tank with a decent amount of armor on it. So this could definitely be something which could be added to the game at rank 6, and if this is added to the game at rank 6, this solves a lot of the issues that Japan has, and if you drop the Type 74 to 8.3, then, yeah, I mean, why not? The issue is putting the STB-1 at the same BR as the Type 74. Now, when we talk about the rank 5 premium for Japan, because it seems like for a rank 5 premium, they've tried to stick to 7.7 or 7.3. We've had the Patton 2, we've had the T114 plus the Magak, the Object 120 at 7.7. We haven't seen the British one yet. That's what I'm really hyped for, to see what the British get. I hope they get some kind of weird Super Conqueror thing. But I would be fine with the Japanese getting either a weird prototype, which is very similar to the Type 74, or another version of the Type 74, but the issue with that is it would have to be an 8.3 premium. So we have to try and figure something out which is 7.7, and the only thing you can really go for is some kind of prototype of the Type 74, which, as you said, would be a copy-paste STB1. So there's not really a lot you can do with the Japanese. Hopefully, they don't go down the route of adding other nations' tanks, because for me personally, I don't really like that. I think that is a bad move, just because I don't want to fight the same tank with the same tank. But I understand if they want to do that. They have done it in the French tree now, in the Japanese tree, and also the Italian aircraft tree. But they have limited themselves to German aircraft for the Italians. For the French aircraft, they added Americans, which generally you don't fight. But yeah, hopefully we see some interesting prototypes or some weird stuff dug up from the Japanese archives to add to that rank 5 thing, because they definitely need help. And I don't think every nation has to have top tier rank 5, rank 6 stuff. I actually said before, and I still hang to this, I would be completely fine if Japan stopped at rank 3 with their vehicles that they have. And I would be fine with Italy stopping at rank 3 as well. But if they want to go into this rank 6 crazy trap, maybe you have to create a mixed tree where these are found in if you want to limit the other ones to rank 3. Now obviously they're not going to limit them to rank 3 because they already have all the other vehicles, so that point is mute now. But I still stand by it as a good idea. Maki-san, I think. Congrats, my friend, and keep up the good work. I will do. Thank you very much. Jan Domingo, what is your opinion on the Cheery 2 3.3 second reload? I hope Gaijin don't change it. What do you think is the next April Fool's event will be? And then APHE-chan says, only the first 2 reloads with a full ready rack of 3.3 seconds. After that, the reload is longer unless you refill the ready rack again. So, let's talk about the next April Fool's event. It seems like the general consensus is rank 6 aircraft. It's obviously coming up, so we'll see in the next few days. I have no idea what it could be. I personally would like to see do an odd switcheroo and actually do World War I stuff, so World War I aircraft. I know a lot of people probably won't care about it, but for me that would be hilarious, and something I'd actually like to see instead of modern jets, which I think bring a lot of issues with them, and if they do show something like it, sorry about that, for the April Fool's event, I'll definitely be having a few videos come out explaining some ideas to the general community which won't be thought about until too late, and then they'll start complaining about them. The Cheery 2 3.3 second reload. The issue with the Cheery 2 is never its reload. The issue with it is that it's the size of Japan itself. It has not enough armor to justify its size, and it's slow. And it also has a useless 37. There's not a lot going for that vehicle, so it could have a rapid-fire 2-gauge shotgun on it, which penned 1,000 millimeters, but it would still be useless in my opinion. There is too much wrong with it when it comes to how it deals with aircraft, which it doesn't. It's actually awful at dealing with aircraft. And on top of it, the gun is good, actually. The gun is good, but the armor is just woeful for what it is. If you get down-tiered, it's okay. If you get up-tiered, you're screwed. If you fight at your BR, you're screwed. If you get the catch on people and they don't see your huge boat coming towards them, then yeah, you will do well. But against an experienced player, they'll annihilate you. There's a reason why we don't see any Cheery 2s right now, and it's not because it's a sleeper fish that nobody's on. It's just bad. As I said, like the gun is good on it. Everything else is the issue. Rapidicus says, will you review the A36 with Tide Pods, the 1050 cals? I was thinking about it. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said that the 50 cals did not affect the flight performance, or the gun pods did not affect the flight characteristics of whatever they were flying. So I need to do some testing on that. I'm still working on the new vehicles and reviews for them, but maybe it might be a War Thunder Live thing. I don't know. Rahul Samant says, do this. 1, APDS rework, especially on the Challenger. 2, new penetration / angle of attack. Explain. Well, you mean how it works now? I mean, pretty much the same as before. They just changed the angle. So instead of it being perpendicular to you, it is perpendicular to the armor itself. That's pretty much it. If you want better explanations, type in War Thunder Reddit armor changes. Like, let's just have a look. Oops. Because there's 2 really good articles on it and how it works. Here we go. So this will explain everything to you. And I will do this in the video itself, so you can see me do it. There you go. This will explain it. APDS Rework seems to have gone through. If you go and look at Mike 10D's patch notes, a lot of APDS rounds got hit hard with the damage bat, but they got increased penetrations at different angles. So pretty much they are forming into a better APCR round which doesn't bounce, but is not going to do that much damage. And this was for pretty much every British gun, 120, 17 pounder, and the Tortoise gun, which only has AP. But for the 84, which is on the Carnarvon, the Centurions, or the Centurion Mark III, I should say, it was left the same. The Mark 10 gun was also changed in its Sabre, so they made Sabre worse, which sucks. Massively. And the Challenger, I hope they change that Challenger's default round. But then again, the Challenger has a hell of a lot more wrong with it than that round itself. There is too much going on which is wrong with that Challenger. It needs a complete rework, and it's just come out. So yeah, it's really sad seeing the Challenger in its current state. And if I did a review on it right now, it would just be me bitching for 2 hours. It wouldn't be worth it. Because from what I've read, from what I've seen, the archives I've looked at, it's completely wrong. In every way. Alfred Noyes Sumner. Hello from Australia. Congrats on the 6K. Thank you, man. My question is, what made you choose the name for your channel? So the name for my channel is the European Canadian. The reason for this, I wanted to be called the British Canadian, because I'm obviously British. The issue with this is somebody took that name. So I went for the second best thing, the European Canadian. The English Canadian also just, it doesn't roll off the tongue, the same as the British Canadian and the European Canadian. At the same time, you have TBC and TEC. And, you know, I preferred TEC at the end of the day. But the reason is, I'm a British guy. I moved over to Canada to study, and I stayed here, got married, and yeah, that's about it. I'm from Europe, because obviously the UK is in Europe, and I moved over to Canada. Ergo, European Canadian. Like that's about it. I thought it was a simple name for a simple time, like 5 years ago. It fit with me personally, so I thought, yeah, it perfectly describes what I am. Siddhant Tambe, or Tamb, are you a tanker or a pilot? I equally enjoy both, but if we're talking about skill level, I'm a much better pilot than I am a tanker. The pilot stats that I have, just if you go to my account, are a hell of a lot better than my tanking stats. And the issue I have with tanking is my aiming is awful. So that's why I really like the scout mechanic. The scout mechanic means that you can be good at the game without having to fire a single shot. But when it comes to aiming, my hand is too fidgety. when it comes to the guns, or my sensitivity is wrong and I can't find the right sensitivity which works for me. In a pilot, I can set up kills. I know what I'm doing with specific aircraft. I understand the strengths and weaknesses. In tanks, it's a little bit more wishy-washy for me, and I have to rely on other people to pull me through a little bit more. So yeah, from a skill point of view, I'm a pilot. From a enjoyment point of view, I'm both. I don't really regard one higher than the other. Sophie Psych, congrats man, just found your channel a few weeks ago and was really impressed with your coverage of the patch 1.77, thank you. It was nice to find someone covering the smaller details, not just screaming, oh my god, Abrams is coming into the microphone. Yeah, that's kind of what I talked about before. There's, like, the overhyped stuff, I understand, well, not overhyped. The hype videos, I understand why people do them. They work really well for some people. But what I'm saying is if I tried that, it would sound terrible. Like, it doesn't fit me, it doesn't fit my voice, it doesn't fit the way I talk or the way I look. It would just be insane to everybody. And I don't know how else to say it. So, yeah, thanks for that. And I'll always look at the smaller details. That's what I find interesting. What is your favorite aircraft from the Allied and from the Axis? This is from Grand Pixel Man. My favorite Allied aircraft is still probably the Hurricane Mark 1. It's definitely not the best aircraft at its tier, but it is one which I have probably read the most about, and is one of the unsung heroes of the Battle of Britain. At the same time, the secondary one for the Allied, if we're going to throw that in, is the Halifax, because the Halifax was the workhorse of the bomber command in Britain, but doesn't get the same accolades as the Lancaster, which is really sad, because it did more work than the Lancaster. It's kind of like the B-24, B-17 scenario, where everyone remembers the B-17, apart from the B-24 did more work than it. The Halifax is in the same boat. The Hurricane, I just have a big connection to, mainly down to the Battle of Britain stuff, which is where I really started reading about World War II. You know, reading Hugh Dowding's biography and moving on from there. So yeah, that's my Allied one. Axis one? If we're talking, I'll give two again, just to be fair. So the Bf-109E1 is one of the best training aircraft in the game. It still is to this day, even though it's been in the game for a long time. The reason for it is that it's a great energy fighter. It doesn't have the best guns on it, so you actually have to work for your kills. You have to set up shots. You can't just go in, blap someone with cannons and then leave. You actually have to think. At the same time, it has enough maneuverability. If you get into an issue or you have a problem, you can get out of it. It's the perfect training aircraft if you're trying to help somebody learn how to energy fight or how to beat somebody with an altitude advantage, which is why I like it. The other one is the Folgore. The Folgore is the first, well, not anymore because the HE-100 exists, but I hate the HE-100 with a passion just because it's a plane that a lot of SEAL clubbers use. But talking about the Folgore, the C202 in the Italian tree, and what used to be in the German tree, it's been one of my favorite vehicles for a long time. And the reason for this is it has basically what the E1 does as well. It has this nice mix of, being an energy fighter, but also being able to get yourself out of trouble and not having the best guns in the business, meaning that you have to work for your kills. At the same time, the Folgore has slightly better high-speed maneuverability, meaning that it is a little bit more fun to fly. It also has a killer German skin on it. Carlos Duty 974. Felicitation to you as well. So one day you will play with us. So I play with people all the time, man. If you just go on the Discord and hit me up, I'll generally play if I have a spot. So the issue is, as the days go on, I have less and less time. And this is not me trying to dodge people. It's literally I don't have as much time because I'm making more videos. So the question is, do you want me to play with you or do you want me to make videos? Because I can't make videos when I'm playing with people. And, that's pretty much how this is. Like, I can't record and play with people at the same time because then your voices will come through and I won't be able to use the general template of the post commentary, which I like doing. So, do you want videos or do you want me to play with you? That's pretty much the thought that you have to have in your mind when it comes to this. And a lot of other content creators have talked about it before, and it's exactly the same with me. If I'm playing with people, it has to be either on a stream or it has to be me, already done for the day when it comes to making videos. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time. And I'm not in a position to do that, and I don't ever want to be in a position to do that. I have a hell of a drive when it comes to pretty much anything I do, so getting in the way of that can be a bit of an issue. Vince, I like the content. You give a fair opinion on the vehicles, mostly just watch the War Thunder stuff too. My question is, what do you do to keep War Thunder feeling fresh, such as taking days or weeks off, or any tips on playing it a lot and not getting burnt out? Also, when did you start playing? I haven't taken a day off in about a year, but that's just from the logging on thing. And the main thing that keeps me going with it is the people that I generally play with, and also the friends I made during the whole thing, and at the same time, the fact that I have a real interest in World War II. Like, as this game gets more and more about modern vehicles or 60s and 70s vehicles, I find it incredibly boring. But when it comes to other vehicles, such as World War II stuff, that's what keeps me interested. The history side of World War II keeps me interested in it. Also, I play single missions. I play dynamic campaigns. I play enduring confrontations, which you can actually create by yourself if you want to. And I just fly about, away from the PvP stuff. I just relax, take a chill pill, and then go back into it. That's all I do. Nothing else. I made a few videos on how to cope with stuff like that, and that was pretty much the gist. Like, there's a lot more to this game than just the PvP element. Even if there's the PvE assault, that is very simple, or the single missions, or the dynamic campaigns, or the historical campaigns. There's all of this stuff you can play and get away from the stressful part, which in my opinion is the PvP. If we're talking about how long I've played for, it is this is when I registered, and I played on the first day that I registered. So 10th of the 7th, 2013, so 14, 15, 16, 17, and then about half a year. So we're talking about 4.5 years at this point. Maybe a little bit more than 4.5. Yeah, it's a little bit more. But that's about it. I registered, I believe, just after the alpha of the game. So that's pretty much where I'm at when it comes to this. I just looked at the amount of lines I've earned in RB. That's insanity when you think about it. But yeah, played for about 4.5 years, just a bit more. And single missions, historical campaigns, dynamic stuff. That's pretty much how. Nathan S. Do you think we will ever get historical matchmaking in War Thunder, say Allies versus Axis for World War II and NATO countries, and equipment versus the Warsaw Pact countries and equipment? The issue with historical matchmaking is the fact that you will need to get everybody to agree to play every nation equally, and this will not happen. So, what I mean by that is you would have to make it so America, Britain, Germany, France, 10 players would queue up at the same time, and then for Russia, you need 40 players. So, if you look at it, that would be 40 versus 40 looking for a match. The issue is this isn't how War Thunder works. People play what they want to play. You cannot tell them to play a nation if they don't want to. The most recent thing we've been seeing over the last few days or so, or since the Abrams came out, is a ton of people playing the Abrams and complaining about not getting a match. Well, that's because nobody's playing anything else than the Abrams. So at that point, you just have Abrams sat there in a queue waiting for the people to come in. Now, add Britain to that list, add Germany to that list, and make it so they can't face America. You're sat in queues for like 20 minutes just to wait for a few T64 players to turn up to the game. So for me, I understand why the current matchmaking system is how it is. Do I want to see historical matchmaking? Yes, I do. And I want to see that in War Thunder Chronicles events like they do every year. I want to see it in the simulator events as best as possible. And I also want to see events every weekend which are focused on historical stuff. At the same time, there are communities in War Thunder which do mock historical battles. So they actually follow the historical, the campaigns and play the operations within them. So if you want the historical side of the game, there are squadrons which literally reenact it. And it isn't, reenacted to the point of where one side is always going to win. It is reenacted in the setting that what you have at the start of the battle is what they had at the start of the battle back then, and then you can push forward with it. I think that's pretty cool. Visky, Dingo. Yeah, Dingo Hass. You probably haven't met him. He's a member of ANFO who comes on every so often. Visky, what's Gulag plus Auschwitz? Pretty much hell in its regard. The Mature People for Real. Is YouTube full-time job? What's your fave tank and why? And War Thunder is your is your playstyle tank RB? YouTube isn't my full-time job. It probably won't be for a hell of a long time unless this really takes off. The reason for that is because the money is just not there for it. If I did some things, such as maybe a Patreon, maybe a PayPal, maybe commissions or something for certain people, then yes, I could probably do it. But I have a full-time job. So yeah, we'll see in the future where we're at with that. What is my favorite tank and why? It changes a lot. I have, for planes, I have favorite vehicles that I've played for years. With tanks, it changes a lot because there's much more changes in tanks over the shorter period of time. So the current one that I've been really enjoying is the T92. The one before that is the AMX 1390. And the reason why I've been enjoying these vehicles is because of the scouting mechanic, the speed of them, and also the fact that they can be very sneaky, and you can wait for a whole team to walk past you, and then you can come out and strike. I find that interesting, and I find that, fun. If we're talking about overall, which is my favorite tank, the favorite tank that I've played over the last year or so is probably the Cent Mark III. I think it's good at everything. There isn't really a downside to it. Apart from maybe its frontal armor, which has massive weak spots on it. So, yeah, that's a pretty fun tank. What is my playstyle tank RB? I've always been the supportive player, if we're ever playing in a squad. Something that Tazzy said, which was, I thought, hilarious. So we used to run a 3-stack, and we still a lot of the time run a 3-stack, me, Tazzy, and Rex. And Rex is the balls to the wall, let's go in and annihilate people kind of guy. I'm the guy who's backing him up, making sure that nobody comes around the corner and annihilates him while he's going full ball like a bullet. And Tazzy is the guy sat waiting to make sure that our asses is clean. And that's pretty much how we play it. I'm the support in that scenario. Tazzy is the covering fire, and Rex is the I'm going to blast everything to Kingdom Come. So I've always been a supporting player in that regard, going in second to a domination zone or across the street. But over the last, since update 1.75 really, I've been really enjoying the scouting mechanics. So I've been playing a lot of scouts, even playing the bulldog, which is like a cardinal sin in my book. So yeah, that is something that's that I've been enjoying. I've been really enjoying the fast scouts with good guns. Some of them have awful guns, and it can be a trial to try and play them, but the majority of them don't. The majority of them have fine guns for their BR, especially because of the playstyle that you're supposed to use with them. But yeah, I've really grasped onto that and found it a hell of a lot of fun to play the scouting playstyle. And this is from Good Old Green. Are you gobsmacked by the rate of growth of your channel? You did a 5k Q&A just a month ago. Keep up the good work. A little bit, yeah. I never thought it'd get to a point, because now, even from this video, there's been about 500 new people to the channel. I'd never thought that people would listen. I know it sounds weird, right? But I need to show something, because I don't think I've changed that, and I don't think I ever will. And the topic stays the same. Yeah, this is the description that I've had since day one. And as you can see, joined 20th of July 2013, so I've been here a long time. Hey everyone, I'm basically an Englishman living in Canada. I'll be posting mainly gaming videos and commentary and certain things I find interesting. I've never been a strong speaker, so I'm hoping to use this to help me gain some confidence in my public speaking. Any positive or negative comments are welcome, since I believe you can only really learn from your mistakes. This is completely correct. I haven't changed my mission for the YouTube channel really at all since I've had it. This is pretty much what I've wanted to conquer. Now I am a strong public speaker. I feel very confident when I have to, when I'm talking to a crowd or anything like that. And I still believe in positive and negative comments. Criticism is good, even if it is ill-founded. So yeah. But anyway, am I gobsmacked about it? Yeah, kind of, a little bit. I understand where it's coming from, though, because people really like the dev server content, and a lot of people either can't get access to it or don't have the time to. So to provide it for them, that is obviously good. Now, the question is it sustainable, the amount of growth? And right now, I don't think it is. I think it's a little bit high for my general videos, but I think in overall there's going to be a general increase, but it's going to slow down quite a lot over the next few weeks until the next big update comes out for War Thunder. There is always a video that takes off every once in a while, and that is just something which is nice, but it is a little bit surprising. What is kind of, not worrying is the wrong word, but kind of saddening, in my opinion, is back in the day, like when there was 100, 150 subscribers, like I still recognize a lot of your guys' names from back then. Toshio is one that always comes up. There's also Sexy Ginger who comes in every once in a while, Oddball, people who have been here for a long time, such as Good Old Green. And back then, it was as if I was having a conversation with people. Like, I was making a video, it would be a great starting point, they would leave a comment, and then there would be a conversation going on. Nowadays, that's not really the case. First of all, a lot of the comments, they're just kind of random things. Like, they aren't, big comments about, people's opinions or anything like that. It's just random things. And I've never understood that. I've never understood why people do that. But they do it. So, there's that. And what I'm missing over the last few months or so is the connection that I had before to people I don't know. And I know that sounds really odd, because a lot of people will say, You know, well, you don't know these people. You don't even know what they look like. You don't even know what they sound like. But over YouTube comments and people commenting and leaving their opinions, there is definitely something there which is interesting to me. And that was the bit of the YouTube part of it I never thought I would ever, I'd never even thought about. But it's one of the ones that I really miss. And still, like, you know, let's go to the create a studio. Oh, come on, Poppycock. Really? Well, you're not in the mood today, are you? Do you want me to try this? Alright. So let's go here. The community one. So you have, you know, just the normal comments. And then, look, there's Toshio. He's still around. Rational Reality American is a guy who talks about aircraft a lot. He's been around for a long time. And as I said, these types of comments, the long ones, I love reading them. Absolutely love them. But then you get stuff like this, right? And I'm just like, okay. Like, what are these? And then, you know, you have the longer ones. And I've always preferred the longer ones. But as I've been going on, there have been a lot less of them. And then Kevin. Kevin has been around for ages. And I love reading his comments. Absolutely adore them. Because they're always long, they're always well thought out, and they're always from his opinion, or his point of call. And if his point of call is different to mine, then it's still really interesting, you know, listening to what he has to say. M3ow or Meow. Really, it's Meow. I never thought of that. Black Star with a long one. And yeah, those are the types of comments I really enjoy. Generally, they're calling me, well, they're not calling me an idiot, but they're pointing out something like a contradiction or a point of call which is slightly different or a different opinion, but it's still interesting to me. And those comments are definitely less, there's Kevin again, less between than before, which is sad. And there's Oddball, good old Oddball. Oddball's always there to correct me whenever I say something wrong, which is great. But before, I would get a notification for every comment. Nowadays, that just doesn't happen. I don't have the notifications. It doesn't even tell me. I have to go to this, which is the comment from the community thing, and even then, there are comments which are just missing. So that's sad to me. But going back to the actual question, am I gobsmacked? Yeah, kind of. It's a lot of people when you actually think about it. When you put up a video and 3,000 people watch, I come from a village where there was 100 people in it. So times that by 30, right? Wait. Yeah, times that by 30, so 30 of my 30 villages, that's insane to me when I think about it like that. And then the last comment is Alvaro Hernani, and he says, "Hurrah, thank you for such good content." I'll keep it up. I will do. And I just want to, just as a closing statement for all of this, because I think this has been quite a long video already, I do want to thank all of you for the comments that you leave. A lot of people, right? I just want to point something out again. So let's go to the community tab, which I've been using a little bit. I think it's a nice little system. Let's see. This one, right? So just wanted to say thank you for all the kind comments. It makes this stuff worth it. I'm going to get some sleep with a smile on my face, and hope you all have a wonderful day, right? This was after the dev server videos. And one thing that I hope people understand is that I'm not a facetious person. I don't really use sarcasm unless it's completely obvious when I'm talking, but when I'm typing, there's never any sarcasm. So, a lot of people thought this was sarcastic when it came to the comments, but I just want to let you know, no. It is nice reading the comments, even if they're not kind. The fact that the comments are there, and if they're correcting something, that's grand. If they're negative, that's grand. If they're positive, that's grand. If they're kind, it makes me sleep alright, which is good. But it's just nice that they're there. One of the things that worries me is there will be a point where interaction on the internet is very sparse, especially on YouTube. And, you can kind of see that where, if we go to create a studio again, come on, we look at a video like this, right? So 4,168 views on the Insanity of Blom and Voss, only 66 comments. That seems pretty low to me with the amount of views. This one's a little bit higher, but I don't know what the normal ratios are. But to me, there's a lot of people watching the videos who don't normally comment. And I see that with the Twitch streams as well. I have like 10, 20 people watching, but only about 3 or 4 are talking. And what I would like is for those people to have a chat, to be comfortable enough to write a comment. Understand that you're not going to get lambasted. The community on the channel is a very nice one. And a lot of the figureheads that I've talked to over the years, of what I see at least as my figureheads, like people like Toshio, right? They're wonderfully nice people. So, just don't be afraid. I'm not some big, crazy bear guy who's going to bite your head off if you say something wrong. If you are uncomfortable with, coming on Discord and having a chat, or maybe you're worried about what your voice sounds like, or maybe you're worried about someone might misinterpret a comment on YouTube, don't worry about it. Give it a go. I used to have I know I'm going off on a crazy tangent, but this is going to be the end of the video. So if I'm done with answering questions, so if that's what you're here for, I'm done with that. But let's just go on a small little tangent at the end. There's a dream that I have. It's a recurring dream, and I don't know why I have it, but I've had it since I was maybe 5 or 6. And it is a dream where I'm sat on the edge of a waterfall. And people come up to me who I've seen over the last few weeks, and they sit next to me and we chat. And we chat for about 5 minutes, and then when they're done, they say bye, and they jump down the waterfall. And this happens. It can happen up to 10 times in the same dream. And I'm just meeting the people. I'm either talking about the stuff we talked about before, or just talking about something completely different. So it's literally my mind portraying how it sees this person. But at the end of every talk, they fall to the water. Well, they don't fall. They push themselves over the edge to the waterfall. And when I need to wake up, I push myself down the waterfall, and it wakes me up. And the way I've always seen this dream is, first of all, it helps me try and collect my thoughts on people that I've met and how to approach them next time I talk to them, or if it was like a business thing, or if it was a school thing, maybe there's something I'm missing with it and how to approach it. But at the end, throwing yourself off the waterfall, seeing the people throw themselves off the waterfall, sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you've gotta push yourself that little bit more, and you'll wake up in a good sense, in a good mind. And that's what I feel like with these comments stuff, and that's what I feel like with the Discord stuff. If you're uncomfortable, it's okay. Everyone's uncomfortable. And then you start chatting to people, and you realize they're all uncomfortable, but you need that one person who pushes you, or you need to push yourself over the edge of the waterfall just to be able to chat to the people at the edge of it, to create that cycle. But yeah, just some crappy philosophical thoughts at the end there. Thank you for all the questions. I didn't take any from Discord this time because I knew this was going to be a long one, and when 7K rolls around, which maybe in a month, maybe in 2 months, maybe in 2 years, who knows. But when that rolls around, I'll do another Q&A, so if I missed you this time, or if there is a pertinent question, as I said, drop it in the description, in the comment section here. Thank you all for watching as usual. I hope you continue to enjoy the content, just as I continue to enjoy making it. Have a lovely day.